Hello, welcome back. We're just going to keep going. I know I said at the end of the last video we might do something different, but I'm feeling good about this, and we have kind of the back-end stuff already ready. So um, let's just keep working on specifically event templates as our first model, and then we are going to have to rework kind of how that works. But let's just get kind of the CRUD working for this. So back to our app. We need a list. So similarly, we are going to just look at where do we want to start on this? Probably the provider. So let's go to the venue list provider. And I'm, again, just going to copy this. And we are going to go to the event provider and make a event template list provider .dart. So we'll just rename some stuff here. So what I'm going to do is actually go Command D here, but I'm going to go and specifically click this uppercase thing here. This will match case, meaning when I do Command D, it's only going to find when it's the word venue with a capital V in this case. So that will stop it from, renaming if we have like a lowercase venue in here, which maybe we do, maybe we don't. Oh yeah, we do right there. So let's start with that. So we're going to go and just get all of them. There's apparently only a few, and we'll just call this event template list, and we'll do the same thing with the lowercase one. So yeah, there's quite a few. We can just go and change it to event. And because we're following convention, look, even the file name sort of worked and everything's great. I accidentally got rid of this somehow. Okay, cool. So this is now our event template list, and actually I meant, oh, you know what? Actually, that worked out fine for us, but this one should be an event template list provider. And event service provider, let me just see if I mixed anything up. Event, those are all good. That's good. Yeah, okay, we're cool. So for fetching page, though, we want to, yeah, actually, this all seems right. I'm going to save this file. We're going to open our build runner, and I am going to now run it with the watcher, because we'll probably be doing quite a few things, and this will just make it faster rather than running all the files. It'll just run the ones that change. It's always a tough decision to use. There's advantages, so doing it this way is great when I know I'm going to be touching a lot of like generatable, sort of files. I want to do this. However, it has a downside of it is going to run it on different files that aren't even affected by, that don't even need it, so it's using a little more memory and stuff. But it's just a decision you have to make sometimes. So we are having an error here, and it's because we didn't call it list, we called it list templates. We're eventually going to have a list just for events, but this is all we had to change, and we should be good. So now we have our template list provider. Let us also make, I guess, our component next. So let's make something called event template list component .dart, and we will open up our component for venue called event list component. Yep, that's what we want. And similarly, we'll just look at the word venue. We still have this, well, let's see, do we? Yep, and this is going to be event template list, paging controller, and then we'll just get this word venue and search for the word venue a bunch of times. It's all lowercase. And actually, this is going to almost work. Event. I'm going to change this to event template list provider. However, these ones right here should actually be. Let me just get the right ones. Just still called event. Actually, you know what? Let's just close those, and then we can just import them. There we go. Event template list tile component. That's a really nice long name, but we don't have it yet, so we'll just instead return text. It says, actually, screw it. Let's just make that component. We'll make that one from scratch, I think. So we'll have an event template list tile .dart. We'll just make the stateless, just a stateless widget. Event template list tile, and this is going to require us to pass in an event template, and we'll just call that event template and make that a required field. This dot event template. Then here we'll return a list tile, and will not be a const. And its title, I guess, will be the event template.name, which of course needs to be wrapped in text. And for subtitle, what's kind of cool is we could, in theory, use the event template.venue .name, something like that. There will we're going to enforce it, at least in our API and everything, that'll always be a venue. But something about Serverpod is all foreign keys are technically nullable. I feel like that's something that they might fix at some point, or maybe it is fixed and I just don't know how to do it. But what we could do here is we could say if event template does not equal null, we'll use that. If event template.venue does not equal null, we'll do that. This can now be exclamation mark basically, because it's not null. Otherwise, we'll just have null here. If we put null for subtitle, which is totally allowed, just won't put one. That's fine enough for now. Let's wrap this in a card. Okay, cool. So now that we have this, let's grab this. We forgot the word component. Let's fix that. And the reason I like to do this is just makes it really clear that we're talking about a widget, which that's a fair word too if you want to use the word widget. I just like the word component. So let's paste that in. Component. There we go. Pass that through. Okay, now we have an event list. No event templates found. Cool. Let's go to our event root screen now. So in our root screen, I'm just going to comment this out so we don't accidentally tap it and just keep making a bunch of venues. But let's go to the body of this. The body would be in the scaffold. And I guess here we just use our event list, this is why I like to use the word component. When I call it event list, if we would just call it that, it's actually referring to this like serializable model. So we should have event temp. Did we not make the list yet? No, we did. Here's event. Oh, it's event template list component, right? And again, this won't be our final UI. It won't be like you come here and you just see a bunch of events, but I just want to get the basic, CRUD. So there we have our hardcore test. Everything's great. Now let's make a detail screen. Event event template detail screen .dart. And let's just look at our other detail screen, venue detail screen. Let's just clean this up a bit. Check if owner. Yeah, that's all good. I'm just going to make this one prettier before we copy and paste. And let's actually just, paste this in. And let's just change this to event. We may find we don't even need an event template detail screen, but I think we probably will. Okay, then we go event routes dot namespace, which we've already created this, which is the thing that does the event right there. So that's the route. It'll be its namespace, and actually, it won't actually be this. It's going to be inside the events namespace /templates/ID if we want to be serious. Okay, then what do we got? We want to use our venue detail provider. So we need to deal with an event detail provider. Easy enough. Event template detail provider. So let's find our detail provider for venue. And oh wow, what were we doing here again? I feel like we've been using this. If ID is 0, this is to get like a blank one. I feel like we have a solution for this, don't we? Guess not. Okay. Do we want to work with this or do we want to refactor this? Let's just work with it because it works. All right, so we'll call this event template detail provider. This will return back an event template if everything goes well. Event template detail. This will be event template detail ref. And then what we want to return back is, of course, an event template. Now these will all be different, so I'm actually going to just start typing event template so we get all this lovely stuff. Let's put a semicolon at the end, which will automatically kind of reformat. Then we will actually use the same logic we had. Where did our detail provider go? I must have closed it. Yeah, we still want to use this for our owner. And venue ID. Ooh, how do we get that? Let me just check something real quick. In our form provider, venue form provider. Oh yeah, we are. We're using venue form state.initial, which is doing this. Okay, we don't really need this anymore. Because I think if we look at our, where are we getting this from? Venue detail provider. Okay, I'm just going to search the project for, it would be probably like ref.read. All right, let's just search for venue detail provider and see what is actually using this. Event template, that's just, wait, oh, that's because we've, okay, don't worry about that. Venue form provider, it invalidates it there, that's fine. Venue detail screen is watching that with the ID, and the edit screen is also using this. Why is the edit screen using the detail provider? Why is the edit screen using the detail provider anyways? Kind of want to like fix this before getting into getting too deep into this stuff. Let's take a step back. So basically what's happening here, we click this, we click this, and we click edit. It's watching this stuff, but does it really need to anymore? Because now we have the venue form, I think, handling that. Let's just, let's actually just kind of comment this out for a second. And instead, let's just try returning a scaffold where app bar, title, text, and let's just say yeah, we can still have the same logic. So let's just throw that in there, because we know based on the ID. Then for body, instead of doing this data.watch, let's just use the venue form component. Because doesn't this already have... Oh yeah, look, here we have watch for errors and loading. I feel like, yeah, we can make this better. Okay, so what I need to do is actually... I'm just going to comment everything out in this file. I don't think we're using it yet. Problems, no problems. Okay, I'm going to save everything. Oh, I see. A small thing changed, and it's because we're going to put a little bit of padding around here. Is that what we had? Padding of 8? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's just rebuild, make sure I didn't break it, because I think that was just something temporary we did to, you know, see stuff. Yeah, we can still edit. Let's make sure we can still make a new one. And to do that, we have to search for something. We've been searching for burgers, so what's another burger place? I don't want to have this. We have what? Odd Burger, Harvey's. I guess we can make, you know, Burger King. Burger King. Okay, so I grabbed the stuff from there, which is interesting. Do we not have a, maybe we're just not clearing it. That might just be an error. Let's go to our venue root screen. when we go to where's the floating action button? Okay, yeah. So Google Play search screen. This one does the search. When we pick something, what actually happens? Yeah, form provider is the venue form provider notifier. It should be clearing the form. Clear runs build. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, it should be doing an initial one. Let's just build. I spelled build wrong, guys. No big deal. Okay, let's just see if I want to make sure that what I did here works. Okay, so we go here, we edit this one, we get that. We see the word build. We had that build, okay. Then when we create a new one from scratch, and we're looking for Burger King, it is still taking that from there. So our clear, wait, refresh controllers, okay, wait, menu. Yeah, it's like not clearing these controllers, I guess, is what's happening. We are calling the clear. I mean, let's double check. Clear. Then let's see if print, we'll have the refresh happening. And let's also just print what state.venue is at this time, because maybe that's the root of our problem. Maybe all this is being called. Okay, I'm just going through that same process again. So we'll go to Harvey's, we'll edit Harvey's. That works as expected. I also think if you edit this one, this will work fine. Yes. It's when we're creating a new one. Burger King. Then we do get the refresh, but it still has the old one in memory for some reason. Interesting. Okay, so the build's being called before the refresh. Oh yeah, right. That makes sense because we're calling build, then it's doing the refresh. Yeah, that makes sense. So why is it not? Am I logged out? Is that possibly what's maybe happening? No, because then it should be calling the. Oh, you know what? Calling the build is not going to actually update the state. That's what's happening. Okay, so what I actually need to do is like have like an init function that essentially does this stuff. We return that. And then here we would return the init function from this. I'm not actually gonna call this init. There's gonna be a better word. But basically what I want to do when something resets is not actually call build, but what we want to do is set state equal to init, because that will take whatever the return of this is. Instead of calling this init, let's just and this can probably be a private function. So let's actually just do it this way. Oops, init. Let's rename this symbol just to do it in all spots. And we'll call it I want to specifically make sure it's returning. Get reset data. I'm going to call it that for now. I'm probably going to come up with a better word for that. Because the reason is our build function which is like the initializer, needs to actually return data, and you'll see this. Oh, we should actually say what this is going to return, which is going to be the same as this. So let's save that. Because we can't actually do in the build, we can't say like state equals this. We actually have to return something from this. versus we don't care about returning in the case that we're refreshing and resetting. We instead want to essentially go state is equal to the reset data. So let's just see if I'm right and that will work. So same process, edit this. Yeah, it changes. Edit this, it changes as expected. Make a new one. Burger King. And it's all cleared and everything's good. Awesome. So yeah, that makes sense after like looking into it for a couple of minutes. Good times. Okay, that is cool. So yeah, we kind of went in a little bit of a rabbit hole there, but I think it's all for the best because we fixed an error. And now we also know that our venue, what were we working? It was the, let me close some things right now. Venue form component. I guess we should probably also deal with this too. We can go if state dot is loading, return a circular progress indicator. And then for errors, I think we might already have something for this. Yeah, if state.error is not equal null, we're putting an error right there. Okay, cool. So I can get rid of that to do. And let's just see if that works. Is loading. What's the best way to test that? We could, because yeah, let's remember the initial state will be loading false. I guess loading happens when, do we have a function for that? We must have it. Like, yeah, load, here we go. So what I'm going to do is await a future dot delayed with a duration of seconds 3. Trying to get the right amount of closing braces there. So in theory, when we're editing one, so like this, we should, oh, wow. Oh, hang on, I know the problem. I bet you, okay, so this is funny. So I'm gonna go here, I go to here, you're gonna see, yeah, you see Harvey's, but we should see in 3 seconds it changed to Oddburger, yeah. So it's actually doing what it should. But what I really meant to do here is we need to go state equals state dot loading. And then do we have the, yeah, then we do, where is this state? Yeah, then we have this. So we need to just, before we load, we essentially are going to actually set it to loading. So let's just try that. Just now that we're like duplicating, starting to like duplicate code and stuff to follow a pattern, let's make sure our pattern actually works. So if I click edit here, we should see spinner, amazing, and then it should go. So that's perfect. Now, obviously in the real world, you know, there will be a little bit of a delay there because of like network calls. Locally though, we're getting it pretty much instantaneously, which is why putting a delay like this is super helpful. Now I'll make it longer because there's obviously one issue. I want that to be in the center, like naturally. We don't want this up here. We want it kind of in the center. But I don't want to wrap it in the center because this is something we're going to do all the time. So we're actually just going to make a component for this in our core components. So we're going to have a, let's just call it centered loader.dart. This will just be a simple stateless widget, centered loader, and it's going to return a circular progress indicator wrapped in what? A center. And I want the const to actually be here, because why not? Yeah, we can do that. Now what's cool with this is now we're going to use this. And actually, maybe we're going to rename this. Let's just call it like loading component, because I'm trying to use the word component and everything, and calling it centered loading component is kind of a mouthful. So let's just rename that loading component. .dart. Then wherever we did this, we're actually going to do this here. Now what's cool about doing it this way, I mean, pretty obviously, is in the future we might want to make our loader a different color, or we might want to use a custom package or do something really cool, and this will, you know, allow us to do that by changing it in one place. So yeah, let's just test that out. Editing this, we should see it in the center now. Yep. And for 10 seconds later, it should load. Okay, let's go make sure we get rid of that delay because this is actually a nice trick. You know, if you're doing client work, you put these little delays in your code, right? You know, 5 seconds, whatever for this, 10 for that, here and there. And then when your client is like, I'll pay you money to make it faster, you just go in and you change it to like an 8. And then like you build them. And then like later you do, you know, the same thing. I've never actually done that. I'm an honest guy. But you know, you do what you like. Okay, how are we doing? We're doing pretty good. I think we can kind of like continue on what we're trying to do now. Now that we kind of have that in a good spot. So just as a quick review, what we kind of refactored there is our venue edit screen. Was it the edit screen? Yeah, the edit screen had all this stuff, and it was loading something from the detail provider, and it wasn't really like necessary. I think we just did that to, you know, get sort of stuff working. Now we just start loading the form, and the form itself deals with loading the data and all that good stuff, or the form provider does. So now that we have this, which is where we kind of got stuck, where I was like, really, we have to do all this like crazy work because there was a bunch of stuff, and there was also like some other thing that was being annoying. Actually, yeah, let's check that. I think there was one other thing that we can fix. Maybe we already did. Our providers for venue detail provider. Yes, we have all this stuff here. And this is where I don't think we need this anymore. Really, in the venue detail provider, if the ID is 0, I think we can probably just return null. Or we could allow the API to try and do its thing and return null. Or we could actually make our endpoint, you know, if ID is null, like return an error. I'm not sure where to do that is best. I think we'll just do this. Because originally, the reason, yeah, we were using this, that's right, I went through the whole path to find where this was being used, and one of the places was on the edit screen, which I didn't think was necessary anymore, and it was not, and we learned that, and everything's good. So that means we can make this a lot simpler. Let's just make sure our edit is still working, and this edit is still working, and a new one, you know, it's almost time for unit testing, I think. McDonald's, actually, let's actually, you know, make this. I like my pickles. I don't think the other fields are required. Cool. Wicked. I just noticed something kind of funny that maybe we'll fix soon. When I saved, it kind of like flashed, and it's because it was going to like that loading state, which was completely replacing the form. We might want to do something where instead of the loading replacing everything, it's just kind of like over top. Let's actually fix that now. Venue form component. So how do we want to do this? We could wrap everything in a stack. That's probably the most, that's a pretty logical thing to do here. So you can't wrap in a stack in this thing, but look what you can do. You can wrap in a column, and then you can do stack. Look at that, it's just done. Easy. So here what we can do is at the end of the stack, we can basically do this. Now we don't need the same exact code. We don't need that, we don't need that, and we don't need that. We would just do this. Let's see if that works. So let's put back in, maybe we'll actually do it on the save because that's where I noticed it. So let's go to our venue form provider. And on our submit, we have our state.loading. So let's do a await future.delayed, duration seconds, 4 seconds maybe. So let's just see if this works a bit better. I like my pickles, so we'll edit this. Form still looks good. You can still do stuff in it, and we can click save, and we get the spinner. Now here's a problem. We can still kind of click on things, which I think is not ideal. So a couple ways we could do this, but my preferred way I would say is we're going to wrap the form itself in a fun widget. I think this is an underused widget. It's called ignore pointer. Okay, and ignore pointer, what we can do is we can set whether we want to ignore it or not. And this should be if state is state.loading, or how do we do this? State.is loading, right? It's not a, so we want to ignore when the state is loading. That way we can't basically click through. So that's one thing I want to do. So let's just try saving that. So now I can't actually click anything, but we should probably test to make sure we can click when it's not, which yes, we can. So do that. A nice thing we might also want to do is wrap this in an opacity. With this, we can do opacity, and we'll make it based on if state.is loading. Let's make it like 0.7. Otherwise, we'll make it 1. We could get really fancy and make an animated opacity. Is that a thing? Yeah, animate opacity. And we can make a duration of milliseconds, like 300 or something, just to make it kind of like fade a little bit. So let's just try that. I'm going to click save. We're going to see it kind of gets a little bit lighter. All is good. And then, it goes away. If we edit, we are fine. And let's just test that same process to make sure it doesn't look weird in the loading of this. So right here, wait, where are we doing this? Let's just get rid of this before we forget. And I'm going to do the same thing here. We're going to essentially, delay it when we're creating a new one. And that should be fine because we're clearing it ahead. Yeah, let's test it out. So I'm going to make a new one, and we'll pick Burger King as our location near us. Okay, I guess loading. That's interesting. State equals loading. Am I in the right thing? Venue form provider. Yeah, we should be. What went wrong here? Oh, wait. Load is for. Right, no, this is because I went. Wait, what am I thinking? What I meant to check was this editing one. Okay, you see it there, and then it should clear. But I don't exactly want that. I want it to clear before the load happens. So let's just let's figure out what sets that. That's done on the venue detail screen, I imagine. We're loading. Okay, so I think we just actually have to clear it first. Clear? Yeah. We'll just clear it. Yep, that'll clear. It'll reset the data, refresh the controllers, and then we load it. So this is just, again, simulating, a really slow internet connection or something, which is something we care about. So here, edit. So we get this. We still see the form behind it, which is kind of nice. Hey, this is what you're going to be filling out. We're just getting the data. And of course, if we're really fancy, we could use like those skeleton loading effects and stuff. But I think that's overkill for right now, at least. Okay, then the one other thing we want to test is creating a new one. New one won't ever be loading, right? When you go new, it's just Burger. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about it here. Testing this. Burger King. Because it's just going to load that instantly and have everything cleared. So we're good on that. Okay, before we forget again, let's get our, let's just look for delayed, future.delayed, and get rid of that guy. Okay, I think we're pretty good in terms of that, at least enough that we can kind of keep moving. So we are here, venue detail provider. We can get rid of some things we don't need anymore in this sort of file. And let's go to the file we are working on, which is actually our, what are we doing again? Events, providers, event, template, detail provider. Okay, yeah, because there's all this crazy code here. Do I want to? Yeah, we'll just do that. So we're getting rid of this just like we did in the other one. And we don't need that. We don't need that. So this is just going to go. It's going to use this should be the event template. What are we doing? Yeah, event service provider. It's going to retrieve it. Sends back an event template. We should be good. We save this. I think our generator is still running. And this needs to be called retrieve template. Okay, now we have our retrieve. Because, yeah, where were we? We had this. We want to make this go to a detail screen. So let's go to our screens. And we already have the detail screen, don't we? Yeah, we just didn't get this. Event template detail screen. Yeah, we did this. Here's where we were. Event template detail provider. Pass in the ID. this would be for editing, so we can actually just, let's actually just comment out this entire action, and in that case we can actually get rid of actions because we're not going to worry about editing them at this moment. Okay, then we want to use our venue detail component, but really we want to be using our event template detail component. So I like this pattern. I like, we have the screen, which is doing something asynchronous, right? It's watching this provider. It could be in a state of loading, error, or actual data. And all this is doing is dealing with kind of like the container of this screen. And all it knows is the ID. That's all the data we're ever going to pass to this thing. We're never passing the event template through, because someone could come to this screen through a deep link. They could come through it through just a URL in the web version, and we basically only are going to know this information. So this uses that information to go and actually call the API and do this stuff. And then what I like to do is not put our actual UI in this file, because then this file becomes complicated and large. It's only stuff to do with the container and retrieving the data. So then we actually create a component called event detail component .dart, except this is actually event template detail component .dart. And here this will generally just be a stateless widget, event template detail component. But what we pass into here is actually the event template, because we have it. And here we can just return, text. We can use the event template.name. Oh, it can't be a const, of course. .name. Maybe this is like in a center screen. Everything's good there. And if I named it right, we should get this import. And now we actually have to pass in, event template, which venue actually was working, but it's because we want to rename this also to event template, because that's what it is. Look, an event template. If it's null, we want to say event template not found, which, could happen if you just change the URL. Let's also just look for the word venue in this file. There we go. Venue. Oh, yeah, we also have this here. Let's just rename this to event template. So this is just for the app bar, event template.name. So we have the name there. And in fact, if we're going to put the name there, let's put the description or something in the body. Okay, search for the word venue just to make sure we didn't miss anything. I'll also turn off this. So we have some imports, which we're going to get rid of. There's some in this commented stuff, but that's fine. Get rid of all this. Get rid of all this. Now, one missing piece is we need a route for this. So we actually need two. So we're going to make a go route, and here we're going to use our event template screen, detail screen. Oops. Details. Wait. Event template or list screen. Isn't that what we called it? Oh, no, wait. No, that's not the one. I guess it's the detail one. Event template detail screen dot route. So this route is going to be, whatever the name of the event routes are, /template / the ID. So in here, that works just fine. And here we want to obviously use this file here. And this requires us to pass something in. So we actually are going to use these variables here. This is context, and this is state. And state allows us to essentially get some arguments from here. So let's just look at our, where do we do this? Venue routes. And this is very much the same as this. We're passing in an ID, and that's because this requires an ID, right? Just an ID. Doesn't require the event template, just the ID, because it's going to come from the URL. And yeah, that's all we pass in. We get it from the state.pathParameters ID, and we're going to fall back to 0 if something basically catastrophically goes wrong. All right, so that allows us to have our detail screen. Then the real last piece, I think, is in our event template list tile. We obviously need to have an on tap event, and here we will go event template. I'm just gonna event template detail screen dot route. I'm just putting that there for a second. Ignore it. But really, what we want to do is context.go, and we're going to go to this location. Now what's cool here is we're actually going to pass in the ID that we want, and that is simply just event template.id, which in theory can be null, but we're allowing null there. It won't actually be null in this case. So this is this magical little thing, and if you didn't catch it before, I will explain it again because we got a little bit of time before I want to wrap this up. This is a cool trick. I don't know, like, I'm not going to say I invented this. Like, I'm sure other people have done something like this before. But I think it's kind of smart because it allows us to have like really dry code, not repeating ourselves in terms of routing. So it's kind of fancy. But we have this static string route. That's pretty normal. But usually this is just like a getter or even just a variable in most routing patterns. However, this has a path parameter, right? And in Go router, the path is going to look something like this. It's like, you know, in this case, it's event. I'll just write as a string. It's like events slash templates slash, you know, ID. Like that's how you write it. And that's essentially what's happening here. It's taking the namespace, so events. It's then adding in the word templates because we put it here. And then it's taking this right here because we're not passing anything in. And what's happening is it's going to use that ID or fall back to this. So in this case, it's falling back to that. So we're getting a string that looks exactly like this that is being used to the route. But in the case when we want to actually call this route, meaning like I want this actual route, but I want it with the number, I pass in that ID. It's no longer null. And what comes back is something more like, you know, 5. That's all that is, but it allows us to use the same thing. We can change this in one spot. If we wanted to do this, our app would just keep working in all places calling it because it's going to always call this one thing, and allows us to use it for both the sort of dynamic templating that Go router needs, as well as the invocation of going to a dynamic route that Go router also needs. Because right here, we're passing it in, so it's actually going to like, everything's going to work. Now, all that being said, I hope this works. Okay, so let's go to events. Let's go to hardcode test. And there we go. We got the hardcore test, hello world, and we're pretty good. Now, this is where I'm a little bit confused. And someone actually made a comment literally today or yesterday just about this. And I'm not sure about push versus go. I need to do a little bit of research. But the problem is when you do go, you lose the back button. But when you do push, other weird things happen. So we're going to figure that out. Okay, cool. So yeah, we have the detail. Obviously, like we still have to do saving, editing, all that kind of stuff. But you can kind of see stuff. We've established, I think, a really good pattern. And it was pretty quick to get this on both the back end and front end. And if I wasn't taking the time to also refactor that thing, which I don't regret doing that, because that's a great time to do it when you notice like I'm duplicating something. You know, it would have came together probably even faster. So we still have like editing and saving, but I think that'll come together probably just in the next video, at least in its basic form. There might be some tricky things that we skip over, like the repeating, picking the day. You know, we're gonna have to probably like find a good way to do drop downs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it today. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon, and I'll see you in the next one, I hope.